Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the reconvened meeting of the Mount Diablo Unified School District Board of Education. It's April 24th, and we are reconvening at 6:02 p.m. Trustee Barrios has joined us, and Trustee Nzewi has joined us after an arduous trip from Sacramento tonight. And Trustee McFerrin is going to be absent for the meeting tonight. We first will, let's see, do the land acknowledgement. This is item 6.1. We recognize that the Mount Diablo Unified School District sits on the territory of the Confederated Villages of the Lasan, the ancestral and unceded land of the Bay Miwok and Northern Yukut, and the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Contra Costa County. As members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we learn, but also we recognize that the land we inhabit and learn on is the ancestral land of these people who are alive and flourishing members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District and broader Bay Area communities today. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So item 6.3 is the review and potential approval of the minutes for the board meeting held on April 10th, 2024. Are there any corrections? Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes of the board meeting from April 10th, 2024.
Second.
A motion has been made by Trustee Nzewi, seconded by Mrs. Cound. Are there any further questions or comments? Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion is adopted with a 4 in favor, no noes, 1 absence, and with concurrence from Trustee Barrios. Thank you. We're moving on to the approval of, did I mix that up? No, approval of the minutes for April 10th, 2020. I'm sorry, we just did that. Review and potential approval of the agenda.
Madam President, I would like to pull item 14.20.
Okay. Are there any other items or any other changes to the agenda?
No.
Madam Chair, I would move that we approve the agenda with the removal of item 14.20.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made by Trustee Mason with a second by Trustee Cound. Is there any discussion? If you're ready for the vote, Trustee Barrios, how would you vote?
Yes.
Please vote. Item 6.4 passes with a 4-0-0 vote and 1 absence, and with concurrence of Trustee Barrios. Thank you. So we're ready for the report out of action taken in closed session. 7.1 was the board could discuss negotiations or provide directions to its representatives regarding represented employees pursuant to Government Code 54957.6. We received information. For 7.2, discipline, dismissal, release, or reassignment of public employee, Government Code Section 54957B1. I have several items to report out for you. In closed session, the board considered the non-reelection of and release of one probationary certificated employee under Education Code 44929.21, and by a vote of 4 in favor, Mason, Cound, I'm sorry, 3 in favor, Mason, Cound, and Mayo, and absent for the vote were McFerrin and Nzewe, and to direct staff to send notice that they will be non-reelected and released at the end of the 23-24 school year from their certificated positions. There was a second item. In closed session, the board considered the release of one certificated administrative employee under Education Code Section 44951 and voted by a vote of 3 in favor, Mason, Cound, and Mayo, with absences by McFerrin and Nzewe, to direct the district to send notice that they be released at the end of the 23-24 school year from their certificated administrative position. And sorry, I have my papers out of order. And the final one, in closed session by a vote of 4-0, with Mason, Cound, Nzewe, and Mayo voting in the affirmative and 1 absence, McFerrin, the board took action to approve the resignation of employee ID of an employee per the agreement. And Trustee Nzewe joined us at 6:45 p.m. So she was eligible for that vote. Thank you. We're ready to move on to the next agenda item, expulsion of student 07-24 from the regular schools in Mount Diablo Unified School District.
Madam Chair, I would like to move to approve the expulsion of student 07-24 and then to suspend the enforcement of that expulsion with the student participating in 10 hours of counseling to address anger management and conflict resolution, show evidence of successful school experience with no submittable infractions, earn 30 credits, maintain a 2.0 GPA or better, have a 90% attendance rate. Student must remain away from all Mount Diablo campuses and school activities until they are placed by student services.
Second.
So a motion has been made by Trustee Mason with a second by Trustee Cound. Is there any further discussion? If not, please move to the vote. So this motion is adopted by a vote of 4-0-0 with Trustee McFerrin being absent. So we're ready to move on to public comment, which is 8.1. The public may address the Board of Education regarding any item not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the Board of Education of the district. These presentations are limited to 3 minutes each for a total of 30 minutes for all speakers, or the 3-minute time limit may be shortened. If there are multiple speakers on any one subject, the public comment period may be moved to the end of the meeting. Speakers are not allowed to yield their time. Thank you. First speaker is Miss Debbie Hickey.
Good evening, board members and superintendent. I'm here tonight to speak up for the clerical staff. You may not know, but CST staff has been working at their sites for athletics, graduations, open house, and back to school nights for many years and being paid on the activity supervisor's timesheets. We have always been paid at the same rate as Medea until now. April 10th, myself and another school site were surprised to see that our pay was cut from $37.33 an hour to $35 an hour. When I questioned this, the response is as follows. Quote, certificated teachers get paid at different rates in general and in part because they are not entitled to overtime, and their salary and hourly rates often based on their salary schedules and take into account their licensing, college work, and degrees. So I would encourage you not to compare classified employees' pay to certificated pay for multiple reasons. Wow. This is coming from your chief of HR. I'm surprised that you have sent the message that your employees are treated at different classes. Working after school hours for athletics to help our students, staff, parents by running scoreboards, taking in tickets, security, setting up and taking down equipment does not need a degree, a license, or college work, just common sense and caring. However, I was given this response. If you prefer not to do the work at the rate, please make sure your principal knows that you can or they need to look for another staff to do the work. The message your HR department is sending to all CST staff is that we are second class with or without a college degree. Moreover, you can do or say whatever you want, and CST are to do it or find another job. Congratulations. I thought you wanted all your employees treated with dignity and respect. However, this message is demoralizing and degrading. Each site sends out a list of jobs and asks for teachers to work these jobs prior to asking for the rest of the staff. However, there are never more than a few teachers that come out and do the work. So you are now hampering our students and parents from having events that run smoothly and professionally, because the only ones that do the most of the work are the CST members. Like Mr. Rubio stated, if we do not like the pay, we don't have to do the work. Thank you for making me and other CST members feel like second-class employees. Those that do the grunt work for the pay you believe we deserve, which are no good reason, is less than any other employees, even though it's exact same work. I have attachments of those emails, and I'm very upset with the fact that my CST union president signed that. We went from, in just less than 2 weeks, 37-33 to 35 to 23. How many of your graduations are you going to be surprised to see nobody doing? Thank you for your time. And now I have to run back to my senior night to put in my time for 23 hours.
Thank you for sharing with us. Are there any other cards?
Yep.
The next speaker is Vinay Raghavan.
Good evening, board. I'm here the third time regarding the same issue, which I presented in the last board meeting of October 25th and November 8th. The dispute is regarding intra-district transfer, and I totally understand. As part of the dispute, I requested certain information, which has last time I bombarded with a series of emails, and always is given it's a confidential information. Finally, on February 15, 2024, I had to resort to legal counsel, request this information, which according to our legal counsel is Public Records Act. And great, after February 15, on March 19, I received a response with some details, not the complete information regarding what was requested for my legal counsel. And as part of the information what has been provided by MDUSD, I simply told, can I verify the documents? I was given an appointment, but I have not seen any documents. And I was made sit there and told many great things, but not what I was requesting, because I was like, okay, the dispute, yeah, she doesn't qualify. You have privacy laws I made with my lawyer, and you have the copies of the document which my lawyer sent, which clearly states Public Records Act code 6250. And if you are providing me the information email, why can't it be substantiated with a document? And that's what I'm asking, because if everything is so clear, please. But there are sometimes emails and phone record voicemails, which I don't respond back. And just before the meeting, I get a response regarding again. Is it what you are asking? It's been September 5th to the school year is ending, and I'm still pursuing the thing with the MD USD board. And sometimes you get the response, sometimes you not. So are the parents, if anybody wants any information which is public records, hire a lawyer, spend a couple of $1,000 to get this information. Still, I'm waiting for the documents which relates. So here I am the third time, and I think we have May 8th before the school year ends to get the information. And there are many other options I have been provided, but I'm just looking for what, if the guidelines and process is followed, why can't it be backed up with the documentation, which should be as a government board, should be with there. So I need your help to see if we can get this matter resolved before the next board meeting, which is May 8th, because it's now I had to refer to legal counsel. They gave information. Again, it's not complete. There's no documentation. So how much a parent of a kindergarten student is supposed to pursue for this? Because I feel it's like testing my patience. Like, okay, it's a system. This is how it works. You take it or you go to a different school. That's all I have to say. And being the first year in MDUSD, it's not been a great experience. And I have reached out to you also multiple times, emails, because maybe I'm painted a picture, oh, this is a crazy guy. He's challenged a teacher's contract. No, I never challenged a teacher's contract. I only asked for what was the process followed to select, to make those criteria. Because I have emails, there's a lot. You may get lost. Where somebody confirmed, oh, we did like this. And that was the principal of the school. And then the whole system is coming, no, everything is all right. But where's the documents? If the documents right, yeah, everything all right. I go out of the door. But it's like, as I told, testing the patience. And it's a great way to tire up people. But yeah, as a father, it's my duty to look what's the best interest of my daughter. And that's why I'm here the third time. And I'm not sure if I have to be here the fourth time or fifth till the matter is resolved. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your concerns. Does that conclude public comment? Okay, thank you. The next item, 9.0, is district organizations. Do we have any speakers under district organizations? There are no speakers tonight for district organizations. We'll move on to 10.0, recognitions and resolutions. We have several. Dr. Clark, would you facilitate these?
Thank you, Madam President. I will take the next 5 items. So the first one, we have resolution 23/24-60, which is School Lunch Hero Day. Whereas nutritious meals at school are an essential part of the school day. And whereas the staff of Mount Diablo Unified School District Food and Nutrition Services nourish students for academic success every day. And now therefore be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District Governing Board expresses deep appreciation to these valuable employees and commends their tremendous work on behalf of children and encourages all to celebrate nutrition professionals and their one-of-a-kind superpowers. Madam President, this item is now in the hands of the board.
Madam President, with great pleasure and appreciation for all of our food service employees, and especially all of the wonderful scratch cooking and additional things that they have been doing to make sure that our students are healthy every day. I happily move to approve Resolution 2324, number 60, in recognition of School Lunch Hero Day.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Trustee Cound and seconded by Trustee Mason on resolution 23/24, number 60, in recognition of School Lunch Hero Day. Are there any further comments? Hearing none. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
Please cast your ballots. Your votes. The motion is adopted with a 4-0-0 and 1 absent designation. Thank you. Dr. Clark.
Thank you. Our next item, item 10.2. This is recognition of California Day of the Teacher, which is May 8th, 2024, and National Teacher Appreciation Week, which runs from May 6th through May 10th. So whereas Wednesday, May 8th, 2024 is California Day of the Teacher, and the week of May 6th through the 10th is National Teacher Appreciation Week. And whereas the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District wishes to express its appreciation to our teachers for their creativity, dedication, and talent. So now, therefore, the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District hereby recognize May 8th as California Day of the Teacher and the week of May 6th through 10th as National Teacher Appreciation Week. Be it further resolved that students, parents, and school district employees are encouraged to participate in observance that express and show appreciation to the instructional staff at schools throughout the Mount Diablo Unified School District. Madam President, this item is now in the hands of the board.
I move to, I'm loud, right? Like, I move to approve the resolution 2324-61, California Day of the Teacher and National Teacher Appreciation Week.
I'll second.
A motion has been made by trustee Nzewe with a second by trustee Cowan for the adoption of resolution 2324, number 61, the California Day of the Teacher and the National Teacher Appreciation Week. Is there further comment? Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you for adopting the motion 4-0-0-1. Let's
Great.
move on to 10.3.
Our next resolution is resolution 23/2462 in recognition of May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Whereas the U.S. Census Bureau reports over 23 distinct Asian American and over 19 distinct Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander ethnic groups, including Asian Indian, Bengali, Burmese, Cambodian, Chinese, Filipino, Guamanian, Hawaiian, Hmong, Indonesian, Japanese, Korean, Lao, Malayan, Okinawan, Pakistani, Samoan, Thai, Vietnamese, and other. And whereas the Mount Diablo Unified School District, 11.8% in 2022-23 of the student population are identified as Asian, Filipino, or Pacific Islander, the third highest demographic yet. Studies have found that the academic needs of Asian American and Pacific Islander students are frequently overlooked. Now, therefore, be it resolved, Unified School District, that the month of May is designated as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and calls on all schools to commemorate this occasion accordingly with appropriate instructional materials, discussion, presentations, and projects. And be it further resolved that this executed resolution be distributed to all schools within MDUSD. Madam President, this item is now in the hands of the board.
I move that we approve resolution 2324-62, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
I'll second that.
A motion has been made by trustee Nzewe and with a second by trustee Mason for the approval of resolution 23/24, number 62, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month for the month of May. Is there further discussion?
May I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say, just as I serve for the California Association of African American Superintendents and Administrators, and we also have the California Association of Latino Superintendents and Administrators, There's also, and they actually had their very first conference this year, CAPLE, which does the same for our Asian American and Pacific Islander colleagues. So any Mount Diablo administrators that would be interested in participating or joining that can come and see me, and I can definitely get them in touch with this organization.
Thank you for sharing that opportunity and information. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion is adopted with a 4-0-0-1 absent outcome and concurrence of our trustee Barrios.
Great. Madam President, next item we have is item 10.4, and this is recognizing May as Jewish American Heritage Month. So whereas National Jewish American Heritage Month celebrates and recognizes Jewish contributions to American culture, history, military, science, government, education, in all areas of American life. And whereas on April 20th, 2006, the federal government proclaimed that May would be Jewish American Heritage Month, stating, as a nation of immigrants, the United States is better and stronger because Jewish people from all over the world have chosen to become American citizens. Since arriving in 1654, Jewish Americans have achieved great success, strengthened our country, and helped shape our way of life. So now, therefore, be it resolved that the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District hereby recognizes May as Jewish American Heritage Month and supports opportunities for all students, staff, faculty, and members of the public to honor and learn more about Jewish American history and culture. Madam President, this item is now in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I would like to move to adopt Resolution 2324, number 63, recognizing May as Jewish American Heritage Month.
Second.
And I would also just like to say, this is a very challenging time, I think, in the world for so many of our families that may have Jewish heritage. And so we respect you, we honor you, and, we will continue to make sure that people of all heritages in our schools are recognized and safe. So thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion by Trustee Count with a second by Trustee Nzewe for approval of Resolution 23/24, number 63, recognizing May as Jewish American Heritage Month. Is there further discussion? Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you very much. The motion is adopted with a 4-0-0-1 trustee absence and the concurrence of our student board member.
Thank you, Madam President. We have our last resolution. This is Resolution 23/2464 in support of National Foster Care Month. Whereas National Foster, my microphone keeps going, was established more than 30 years ago to bring foster care issues to the forefront of the national focus, highlight the importance of permanency for every child, and recognize the essential roles. Thank you, sir. And recognize the essential role that foster parents, social workers, advocates, and educators have in the lives of our children in foster care throughout the United States. And whereas many children in California's foster care system experience frequent placement changes, with 15% of foster youth experiencing 5 or more placements and 44% experiencing 3 or more placements. And whereas the statewide average high school graduation rate is 83%, but youth in foster care have a 53% on-time graduation rate. So therefore, be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District Board of Education, number 1, recognizes National Foster Care Month as an opportunity to raise awareness about the educational challenges that children face in the foster care system. I'm going to stop there because I know we have, hopefully we have Rosie Reed who will be speaking on this issue. But Madam President, this item is now in the hands of the board.
So members of the board, we do have a public comment card. Rosie Reed, would you please come forward?
Oh, and look, she appeared.
Hello, Dr. Clark, members of the board. Nice to see you today. My name is Rosie Reed and I'm representing Student Services. I wanted to thank you for hopefully adopting this resolution and also to give you an update on some of the things we've been working on with our foster and unhoused youth. We just sent a group of students up to Feather River College last weekend for a weekend of college awareness and outdoor education, and they had an absolute blast. One of the students even signed up for Feather River College on the spot. And the students that we sent up were not students who had a plan for next year. So all of the students really loved it and had a phenomenal experience. And so that's now a viable option. Several of them are considering it. So we're really excited about that partnership, and we hope to expand that next year, potentially even working towards our own weekend at Feather River College. We're also doing a FAFSA challenge with Contra Costa County Office of Education. All of our college and career advisors are doing an amazing job of trying to get every single foster and hope identified youth to complete their FAFSA. Obviously, they're trying to do that with all of their seniors, but it's particularly important when it comes to our foster and hope identified youth because it's so much free money, and often that's how people can afford to pay for their housing and the incidentals they might need to be able to continue their education next year. Our team is also collaborating with Contra Costa County Office of Education and Child Welfare to plan Foster Youth Wellness Summit on May 18th for foster youth in grades 6 through 12. And students get a $25 gift card as an incentive to attend. They also get to have a boutique shopping experience where they get to go get new clothes, new shoes, get a haircut. They have a whole bunch of wellness inspired workshops that had a lot of youth input on the designing and inspirational speakers. So hopefully we get a great turnout for that. In terms of just broader what we're doing for all of our students, we're really working to expand our partnerships so we can have more resources available to give to our students. We've had an ongoing collaboration with Operation School Bell for many years, but we expanded that greatly this year. And we were even able to give the Assistance League, who does that, the AXA gave them the Community Partner Award because of all of the incredible work they do in our schools. And a lot of that comes from the work they've been doing with our foster and hope identified youth. And in fact, they said we've expanded so much in terms of how much we're helping your program. We want to meet with you next week to see how we can expand even more next year and do even more with that. We also started a new partnership just this week with a local organization called Set to Thrive that's out of San Ramon. And they give what's called a Thrive bag to students who arrive in this country or they are placed into foster care or they become unhoused. And it's 3 days worth of clothes, brand new shoes, brand new undergarments, a backpack, school supplies, a duffel bag, any other incidentals that they need. And so I just placed an order and I just did my first 3 today. I'm very excited. They're being delivered tomorrow directly to the schools to give to the students. So I invite you all to come on down to our office and see all of the amazing work that we're doing. That just kind of touches the surface, but we're really excited about all of this work that we're doing. And thank you so much for hearing this.
So we're ready for a motion.
Madam, I move to approve resolution 23/24, number 64, in support of National Foster Care Month.
I'll second that. And thank you so much, Ms. Reed, for your wonderful report.
So we have a motion by trustee Mason with a second by trustee Cowan to approve resolution 23/24, number 64, in support of National Foster Care Month. Is there further discussion? Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
So the motion is adopted 4-0-0 with one trustee absent and concurrence of our student trustee Barrios. Thank you. We're ready to move on to 11.0, public employee appointments. And Dr. Clark, would you facilitate these? For
Yeah,
us?
Madam President, we have Mr. Sheehy is going to take items 11.1 through 11.5, but we are extremely excited to be welcoming some new members to the team. And so I will turn it over to Mr. Sheehy.
Good evening, Dr. Clark, Board of Trustees. The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Tiffany Allison as Vice Principal at Mount Diablo Elementary School. Tiffany has worked in public education for 18 years. She taught middle and high school in Colorado for 13 of those years, and most recently worked in the Walnut Creek School District as a teacher on special assignment. Tiffany earned a bachelor's degree in English literature and master's degree in secondary language arts curriculum and instruction. Tiffany loves spending time in nature, enjoying the company of her friends and family. She has a goal of visiting all 63 national parks with her husband and her children. They've made it to 20 parks so far. Tiffany also participates in the 40 book challenge each school year and is already on book number 30 this early in April. Feel free to ask her what she's reading. With that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board. She is not.
Madam President, I move to approve the appointment of Tiffany Allison as vice principal for Mount Diablo Elementary School.
Second.
A motion has been made by trustee Count with a second by trustee Nzewi on the appointment of Tiffany Allison as vice principal at Mount Diablo Elementary School. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, trustee Barros.
Yes.
Thank you. And the motion is adopted 4001. Welcome, Tiffany Allison. Be sure and share this applause with her.
Absolutely. The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board review and potential approval the appointment of Ruby Ortega as vice principal of Meadow Homes Elementary School. Ruby has been an educator for 8 years in a bilingual setting, teaching in both Spanish and English. Ruby is passionate about building community in the schools she works at. Her leadership experiences include being on the school site council, being an instructional lead, and being a culture and climate team lead. Ruby earned a bachelor's degree in psychology with a minor in Chicano studies and a master's degree in education. Ruby lives in Richmond with her husband, Carlos, and 2 sons, Leonardo and Armando. They love traveling as a family and giving their children fun experiences. With that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
I move to approve the appointment of Ruby Ortega, vice principal at Meadow Homes Elementary.
I'll second that.
We have a motion made by trustee Nzewi with a second by trustee Mason on the potential approval of Ruby Ortega as vice principal of Meadow Homes Elementary School. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, trustee Barrios.
Yes.
Trustees, please cast your ballot. The motion is adopted 4001. Welcome to Mount Diablo School District.
All right, good evening. My name is Ruby Ortega. I am very excited to be joining the Mount Diablo Unified School District. Very excited to join Meadow Homes Elementary School, a school that values diversity and bilingualism just as I do. I'm looking forward to building community with all staff and students and families at Meadow Homes. So thank you very much for your approval tonight. And I'm looking forward to a great year. Thank you.
Do you have family members
I
and
do.
friends that you'd like to introduce tonight?
Yes, my husband is here with me tonight. My husband, Carlos. And my kids are at home. And I have family watching tonight. So, so hello to everyone watching. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Tiffany Jones as vice principal of Shore Acres Elementary School. Tiffany has been working in education for over 20 years, primarily in middle and high school. She loves creating spaces where students feel empowered and cared for. Tiffany earned a bachelor's degree, a master's degree in curriculum and instruction, and is working on a second master's degree in social emotional learning. Tiffany has 2 sons who she loves tremendously, and in her free time, she loves to be outdoors. Tiffany is grateful to have the opportunity to work in the Mount Diablo Unified School District. With that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the appointment of Vice Principal Shore Acres Elementary as Tiffany Jones, and welcome to my neighborhood, literally.
I'll second.
So a motion has been made by trustee Mason with a second by trustee Count on the potential appointment of Tiffany Jones as vice principal at Shore Acres Elementary School. Please, trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
And the vote is 4-0-0-1 with one absence in favor, with this concurrence of our student trustee, Miss Barrios. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Jones, and I'm really excited to be able to be a part of the Mount Diablo team. Thank you for the appointment, and super excited to be a shark. So I think it'll be a really great time. Look forward to building community and keep going on what already is happening at Shore Acres. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Now we'll be singing the shark song in our head for the remainder of the meeting.
I wasn't, yes. The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board to review and potential approval the appointment of Dr. Ronald Richardson as vice principal of Riverview Middle School. Ronald began his career in 2002 as a fourth grade teacher in Oakland. He has also worked as a middle school assistant principal and principal in West Contra Costa Unified, a middle school principal in Oakland Unified, and a principal in San Leandro Unified. Ronald holds a bachelor's degree in liberal studies and master's degree in educational leadership, urban education, and a doctorate in educational leadership. Ronald and his wife have 3 beautiful children, an 11-year-old son and twin daughters who are 9 years old. In Ronald's free time, he loves to read, spend quality time with his family, play pickleball, bowl, and help coach for his son's baseball team. Ronald is extremely honored and excited to join the MDUSD learning community. And with that, I leave this in the hands of the board.
Madam Chair, I would like to approve the appointment of Ronald Richardson as the vice principal at Riverview Middle School, my alma mater.
I'll second.
So we have a motion made by trustee Mason with a second by trustee Count on the potential approval of Ronald Richardson as vice principal at Riverview Middle School. Is there further discussion? Not? Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
And welcome. The motion is adopted on a 4-0-0 with absent by trustee McFerrin and concurrence of trustee Barrios. Mr. Richardson.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, Dr. Clark, Superintendent Dr. Clark. Nice to see you in person. Good evening, Board of Trustees. Thank you for this amazing opportunity. I'm so excited. I love education. One of the goals of mine is to contribute to the body of knowledge to ensure that all students and staff have unlimited opportunities and to prosperity. And I brought my beautiful family with me to celebrate this amazing moment because I finally get to work. And it was always my dream to work in the community that I live in. I'm literally a jog, a scooter ride, a bike ride away. And I love our community. I'm in the Mount Diablo Unified School District. My twin daughters attend Delta View Elementary. My son was there as well. So I want to, if we can stand up, Eli, my beautiful Serena and Sabrina. They're fraternal twins. Hey, I'm not Reggie though. I'm also an identical twin brother. You might have seen Reginald, Dr. Reginald Richardson in Mount Diablo. My wonderful wife, Zora Richardson. And my Shiro and hero. I have my Shiro mommy, Jacqueline Elizabeth Richardson, who's my Shiro. Yes. Take your flowers. My hero, my Uncle Dad, Daniel Von Williams, Rice. He's gonna get me later for that one. And I just want to say it's an honor to be here. I know I don't have that much time. I can speak a lot, but I'm just so ecstatic, so excited, and so honored. So thank you.
Welcome.
The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board for review and potential approval the appointment of Megan O'Malley as Vice Principal of Oak Grove Middle School. Megan taught in alternative and comprehensive school settings from high school to middle school. She brought her knowledge of special education and restorative practices to administrative roles and sites in district level positions across the Bay Area. Megan earned a bachelor's degree in theater arts and a master's degree in theater and performance. Megan is a second generation MDUSD educator. With that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I move to approve the appointment of Megan O'Malley as Vice Principal of Oak Grove Middle School.
Second.
So we have a motion by trustee Cowan with a second by trustee Nzewi on the potential approval of Megan O'Malley as vice principal at Oak Grove Middle School. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. And welcome to the Mount Diablo School District. The vote is 4-0-0 with Aaron McFerrin being absent and concurrence from trustee Barrios. Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Clark and board. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to come back to Mount Diablo Unified. My mom taught in the district. This is where I started my career as a teacher. And my son now attends Valhalla Elementary. And I'm very excited to get to come back where there's so many familiar faces and so much great work that's happening. I'm excited to work with Dr. Ramos and the team at Oak Grove Middle and to get to be part of continuing to move forward all the great goals that we have here at Mount Diablo Unified. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. So I want to congratulate all our new appointees and thank you for bringing your family and friends, and thank you to staff who have come to support these appointments.
We're gonna be here all night, so this is your cue to leave, so. Thank you. Yeah.
The faithful remain.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes,
Isn't that something?
it is. Enthusiasm. Okay, we're ready for 12.0 board member reports. So trustee Nzewi, would you like to start?
Well, I'm just talking to you all today. Well, there's some people, so today, I was at the first day of the Birth to 12th grade water cooler conference, which is sponsored by Catalyst California, and I was actually a moderator for a panel that had the CEO from the executive director from AXA and this fabulous student from Temecula. She's a senior from Temecula. I mean, just with all their drama. Anyway, that wasn't my panel. But it's a gathering of people who work from early education, so from birth literally through 12th grade. And the panel that I moderated, which honestly was the best, and I'm telling the truth, was on creating learning spaces that develop a sense of belonging and that are liberating and welcoming. And my panel included 4 folks, a gentleman who runs both early learning and after school care for the Chinese community in San Francisco. Chris Chapman, who has Kingmakers of Oakland, which focuses on Black boys. Terry, I do not remember his last name, he was American-born Chinese man. His name was Ben. Terry is an Indigenous man, and he works on developing and teaching native languages in Northern California, northern of us. And then Martha Hernandez, who's the executive director of Californians Together, which focuses on dual language learning. And I feel like you all would have really appreciated all of the bits and nuggets of wisdom that were shared. And did Mrs. Garza leave? She was here. I'm like, there was something that Ben from who works with Chinese children and families in San Francisco that I love that he said of how he creates a welcoming environment is one, they speak the language of parents, and one, they actually talk to parents, they welcome parents, and then the parents and they show that they trust parents, and then the parents return that because they've been shown that, and because they speak the language, they have the same foods, and they just really affirm culture. And um and same in the Terry, the Native American man, who has a program around language. He shared a story of a student who had been very engaged, and I don't remember the name of the language that he was teaching, but then the student became disengaged because he's like, this isn't my tribe. I'm not part of this tribe. He was a member of a different tribe. So this isn't my family's language. And he doesn't want to learn another language over his own family's language. But Terry was able to affirm him, like, that's one, be so happy that this child was so honest with him, but then to tell him, like, it's no matter what language you're learning now, this is preparing you to be able to learn your family's language, your tribal language down the road because you're exercising that muscle. And then I really focused, it takes us back to our CASA event and reporting and learnings from Dr. Howard, and the importance of how well children do when they have a Black educator or a Latino educator, and all children. And so that kind of thoughts were brought up because I opened it with a quote from Dr. D'Angelo, who wrote White Fragility. And she did a speech where we were all probably taught by a white teacher who was 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 taught by a white teacher, using books who were written by a white writer, and it goes on and on. And how when you are a white student, you always have someone who looks like you, and an education that is framed around you. But if you are a student who's not white, you may go through your entire life of education of never having someone who looks like you. And so then I was able to give the example of my daughter. The only Black educator she's ever had was her early educator, her family childcare provider, before entering kindergarten. And now, unless we hire some new people, she's got 2 years left in this district to have a Black educator, and to see someone who looks like her, but how easy that is to happen. And that in me growing up in the 80s and going to college in the 90s, and graduate school, that I had a Black teacher in the 3rd grade, one Black teacher in college, and one Black teacher in graduate school. And so I've already outpaced my child. And that's kind of sad. And then I reflected on my very oldest friend, who was also taken care of by my grandmother in our very early years. We've known each other since she was 5 months and I was 11 months old. And that my Nana, my grandmother, has been in all of her schooling, K through college, was her only Black educator as well. And she's white. And so we all lose out when we don't have a diverse teacher workforce. Everyone does that. Everyone benefits from a white teacher, from a Latinx teacher, from an Indigenous teacher, from an Asian American teacher, from fill in the blank. Everyone benefits when we're not all just being taught by the same type of teacher. So that's my reflections on the day. I wish we all could have been there. It's an amazing conference. Next year, Dr. Clark should send everybody. It's 2 days in Sacramento. And yeah, so thank you.
Mrs. Mason.
Well, I'm back. I had nothing for the last couple because of spring break and road trips. So starting the day after our last meeting, I went to the APAC meeting where I had a very nice visit with Dr. Francis and Rashid, but we were the only ones there. I think it was kind of being right after spring break, getting everybody back out. The next weekend, the 13th and 14th, the Growing Healthy Gardens program had gardens open. Unfortunately, that Saturday, rain started to fall, so most of them weren't there, but I did visit Wren and saw the kids painting rocks, saw a cute little possum on the fence. They were very excited about that. The teens were there. They were getting ready to plant when I left. And then the next day, I went out Sunday. It was sunny and was able to go by Shore Acres where again, that must have been the activity painting rocks because they were painting rocks at Shore Acres, but they were doing a real interesting square foot gardening, which my husband and I have done, where you get the big bin, but you do it by square foot. So you have vegetables in with herbs, in with flowers. And so that was really cool to see them doing. And went across the street to Rio Vista where they were working on the food forest. There were more teens working there. Freaking out because they saw a bug and they wanted to step on it. And I said, no, bad juju. We don't kill anything in the garden except weeds when we pull them out. So those kids were working, and I understand some of them want to come back and continue to volunteer because gardening will do that to you. And then I went next door to Monty Gardens and was shocked because where we had just saw this mural go up last year and there was nothing there, they had this flourishing garden with celery, which isn't that easy to grow. And so I went home with celery and sugar snap peas. I was very excited. Kids were there decorating the garden. It was very, very nice gardening day. And then on Tuesday, we had our PAC meeting where Ms. Sachs shared the new, once again, new format. It seems like every other year, a new format for our local control funding, and got input from those parents. The next morning, I went to Mount Diablo High School to the World Academy and visited their second and third period classes. I am always so impressed with those kids. They really touched my heart because they all introduced themselves and told me what country they came from and how long they've been here. And having just recently experienced, if you've been around, I finally got to go back to my old country where I wasn't born, but my grandparents came from. So I had a chat with the kids about that and told them I hope they don't have to wait so long. They can go back and visit their country soon. But they were just delightful. And the teacher was excellent and they were having a great time. Later that afternoon or evening, we had Celebration of Success, which we get to see our young students shine. And I don't know if he'll tell you, but I swear it must be one of Dr. Clark's favorite events because he beams from ear to ear as he gets to shake the hands of all those students that come up on the stage. Then the next day we had DLAC, where I got to hear about the LCAP again and get another group's impression, which is interesting to see the different input from the different groups on what we're doing at our schools. To wake up the next morning and go to Java with Janice at Rio Vista Elementary School, which she had a ton of parents there, and they're excited because last year they complained they didn't have a lot of field trips, but they raised money. They had more field trips this year, even though the bus broke down in the city. They managed to get them back eventually, and they're planning for fundraising for more trips for next year. And then on Saturday, I went to Sun Terrace for Earth Day, where I got to pull weeds with some kids and they were getting ready to paint some tables. And then I had to leave there because I had to get to Shore Acres for coffee with the counselors, which they had a pretty good turnout and did a really good job of letting our community and the Spanish speakers know about all the summer programs that the district is offering. And then on Monday, we had Pathways over at Serendipity, where we got to hear about what those students have been doing. So it's really my favorite time of year because it's nonstop from now until graduation. And I just like to thank all the parents, the students, and the teachers and district office for providing such a varied kind of education for our students and trying to meet all their needs. Report.
And that field trip is one those students will never forget when the bus breaks down. I have 3 stories to tell you. Ms. Cowan.
All right, thank you. Happy Administrative Professionals Day, everybody. So I have a longer report today as well because I was not here at the last board meeting. First, let's start with some fun. I got to attend the Walnut Acres International Fair for Walnut Acres Elementary, and the parents and staff at the school did just an amazing job continuing their beautiful tradition of hosting this international fair. It's huge celebration of the diversity of all of the families And it's such a joy to walk around and you hear all the different languages, you taste all kinds of different food, and watch beautiful performances. And, you know, in this time of so much global strife, this school had both an Israel table and a Palestine table. And both of them were beautiful and centered education and humanity. And there was even a Northgate student there who was featuring his If I Could Change the World project, which is on preserving the culture of immigrants. So it was just a wonderful day. Highly recommend going to that every year. Today is also Denim Day, so I'm wearing jeans, even though you can't see that under here. But Denim Day is held in honor of Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And if you don't know, it was a campaign that began after a ruling by the Italian Supreme Court where a rape conviction was overturned because the justices decided, since the victim was wearing tight jeans, she must have helped the person who raped her, thereby implying consent. So the following day, the women in the Italian parliament, instead of coming in their usual business attire, came to work wearing jeans in solidarity with the victim. And ever since, there's an organization called Peace Over Violence that has developed this campaign to bring awareness to victim blaming and the destructive myths that surround sexual violence. So if you look up Peace Over Violence, it's a really wonderful organization that has all kinds of resources as well. And then sort of along similar lines, last week in Walnut Creek, our Assembly member Bauer Cahan hosted a panel and film showing of the film Misrepresentation. And it was really wonderful. It's one of the films by an organization called The Representation Project, that's led by Jennifer Siebel Newsom. And they have some incredible materials. Actually, I want to pass these out to you guys. Pass those down. So they have 4 different films. The one that's called Misrepresentation is the one that they showed. And that was actually came out in 2011, I think. And so you'd think, like, is it really still relevant now? Yes, it's even more relevant than it was back then, because it talks about the how particularly women and girls are presented in the media, and the influences of that on our culture and on our ideas. And then there's one called The Mask You Live In, that's about masculinity and the kind of pressures that our boys are under. And then there's The Great American Lie, which examines the U.S. value system built on extreme masculine ideas of money, power, and control, and how it's glorified individualism, and resulted in some institutionalized inequality. And then the 4th one is called Fair Play. That's a deep dive into gender inequality at home, and the invisible care work that is historically held by women. So each one of these films, they provide with a free curriculum and toolkit that educators or anyone can use to be able to discuss all of these issues in depth and with age-appropriate curriculum. So it's a really great resource, and it's at therepproject.org. And they're coming out next with a gender equality training program for high school and college students that weaves together leadership development, mental health, media literacy, social emotional learning, and gender-based violence prevention. So just an incredible resource. And then on the panel was a member of the Youth Advisory Council that they have. And their advisory council are ages 14 to 22 from all around the country. And I found out, also have a representative on that council from our school district. So Sarah Zhao is a student at Northgate High School, who's passionate about raising awareness for BIPOC health, the LGBTQIA+ community, and gender equity. So for students out there, there's an opportunity to be able to join that advisory council and give them your perspective as well, which is really great. And then lastly, the reason that I was not here at the last board meeting was that I was in Washington, D.C. with CSBA, our State School Boards Association, and Superintendents Association, advocating for public education. And it was a great place to be with hundreds of school board members and superintendents from all over our state. And you know, when we come en masse like that, it feels more powerful, right, for us to be able to be there talking with our congressional members. So there were kind of three key items that we were advocating for. The first is to fulfill the special education funding promise. And so when IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, was enacted almost 50 years ago, Congress promised, you may not know this, Congress promised to provide 40% of the average per pupil expenditures to pay for this new federal mandate. So do you think that they have ever done that? Turns out that promise has never been fulfilled. So ever since then, it's usually hovered between 7 to 10%. In terms of what the federal government actually pays. So the AXA and CSBA, the Superintendent and School Boards Association, has a federal partnership, and they are in support of, there is a House bill and a Senate bill that we advocated for that would establish a glide path to actually reach the 40% promise. So that's pretty exciting that that's out there. And then also our very own Congressman DeSaulnier was one of the bills that all of us were advocating for, which was to increase funding for preschool and infant and toddler programs in special education. That because we know early intervention is the most effective, also the most cost-effective way to ensure success for all of our students with disabilities. And that area is currently funded at lower per pupil rates than in 1999, even though we're in a situation where this age group 0 to 5 has been increasing tremendously. So at a time where we need this funding more than ever, we actually are funded less than even 1999. So yeah. So there's a lot of support for that bill, which was great to see. And then the other two categories were teacher recruitment, retention, and retirement. Under that, we were advocating for a Loan Forgiveness for Educators Act. So for teachers out there, we want to be able to forgive those college loans. And then there were a couple of provisions, a windfall elimination provision and a pension offset, that are these things that are in place that are currently disincentives for people to enter and remain in the teaching profession. So, you know, being able to fix some of these structures is important. And then broadband access, privacy, and cybersecurity was the other area as well. So it was a great experience. I did not ask the district to pay my way to go because it was just something I had decided on my own to do. But I would highly recommend it. It was really incredible to be able to advocate for these important issues with our federal government and see how all of that works. And then lastly, I ended up extending my stay for a couple of extra days after all of that for the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because my eldest child was admitted to Georgetown University, the School of Foreign Service. And so it just so happened that the admit days for that school were the Friday and Saturday of the week that I was going to be out there anyway. So we went to admit days together, and they have committed to attend. So we're really excited. And I just want to thank Ignacio Valley High School International Baccalaureate Program for providing the opportunity for them in this district to have gotten to really explore and excel in an education that's focused on global affairs. So thank you so much.
You're going to be going to DC a lot.
I hope so. Yes.
Frequent flyer miles. Trustee Barrios, do you have anything you'd like to share with us?
Honestly, I haven't really been doing that much, as I've just been going to school, waking up
That's a lot.
barely. It's getting harder every day to actually get up. but we're getting there. Yeah, and we're currently in the process of electing our new board members. So I'm excited to see who turns in their applications and who shows up. And I see a lot of FAFSA workshops going on, which makes me happy because I haven't even turned mine in yet. But I'm glad to see that there's workshops for that, and there's like a lot of workshops for parents going on recently, which is good because I think not that many parents go anymore. But I see how much our schools have been promoting them, and I see that more people have been going to them, so that's a good thing.
Right.
But apart from that,
Well, thank you for going to school.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. As was stated, I attended the Parent Advisory Committee, the DLAC committee meeting. I also went to the Special Education CAC Celebration of Success, and I want to congratulate Wendy Aguili and her team for working with the CAC parents to provide that celebration event. It is outstanding, and parents are so excited, and I'm looking forward to see if Dr. Clark has a particular photograph that he's going to share. I'll call it out when or raise my hand when he does. And I attended the introductory meeting or the welcome meeting for the Concord High School WASC event on Sunday. And we went to the Business Alliance Career Technical Education meeting on Monday. And then last night was the Valhalla Family STEAM night. So the multi-use room was filled with activities for the students. There was a scavenger hunt in the garden. There was an activity out on the playground, and there was an activity in one of the classrooms that involved mushrooms, excuse me, involved marshmallows and toothpicks. Could be mushrooms. Those are edible too. So everyone was having fun. It was particularly heartwarming to see College Park students with their robot from the Robotics Club. They had a soft rubber ring that the robot could pick up and toss to adults or students at different height levels. And of course, they could launch it with a little more velocity for adults and a little softer for students. So the younger students were particularly enjoying picking up the rubber ring, placing it on the floor so that the robot could roll over it and lift it up into the trajectory device. So they were displaying it with pride and with appropriate notice of each individual's engagement level. It was heartwarming to see. Today, I was excited to see that Mount Diablo High School has a Gates Scholar, and I will mispronounce his name, but only his first name was posted. It was it's Josevit. Is his first name, and I apologize. He was chosen among 750 scholars from a pool of over 53,000 applicants. So this is very well deserved and quite an esteemed opportunity and experience for Mount Diablo High School. I wanted to not acknowledge the passing of past State Superintendent of Public Instruction, the Honorable Delane Easton, champion of public education, and she was an advocate for students of all abilities, and she was in particular support of parent engagement and attended many of the PTA activities that I was involved with during her superintendency and afterwards. And most recently, we saw her at the Teacher of the Year event in Sacramento. And at the reception, she took command of the stage like Delane Easton always could. I was saddened to hear that, and I'm sure many of you are also. And with your permission, I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege and acknowledge the service of Jennifer Sachs to the Mount Diablo Unified School District. I have known Jennifer since I joined the board in 1997 and have followed her successful career ever since. I admire her commitment to students, families, and public education. I also value her professional approach to her own personal growth, mentoring others, and identifying and advancing and promoting professional development for educators. It's not goodbye from me, but I'll still be following you, Jen, and it's till we meet again. Dr. Clark.
Thank you so much for those reports. Vice President Mayo, I'm sorry, but I'm just sharing data tonight, so I don't have any fun pictures like I used to do. So, but this is just as important. So we have to talk about everything. So I have two reports tonight. I have the first one I'm going to go over are our attendance rates. This report was run on April 17th. Just so folks understand, for the state, we have to break up our ethnic groups, and then we also have to break out our student groups. So that's why when I present these reports, they're always separated by race and by student groups. So here's our overall, and you can see if we look at the first column over here, we have 29,140 students. And the blue dot means that we have students who have attended 95% of the school year or greater. And the green dot is between 90% and 95. Yellow dot, 85% through 90. Orange is 80% to 85. And the red dot is less than 80%. So as you can see, I mean, we have over 15,000 students who are at that greater than 95% level. And then if you add that to the close to 8,000 students, we have quite a large population of our students who attend school the majority of the time. However, when you look at the bottom three columns, you can see that it falls off a bit. So we can see how our Black and African American students are attending. Next, we have our American Indian and Alaskan students. And then we have our Asian students. We have our Latino students. One thing I want to point out with our Latino students, we have a little over 12,000 Latino students in the district. We have right around 6,000. So we have half that are at that upper band level. And if you add that to the green, then we're at 9,000. So I do want to highlight those numbers. Next, we have our Native Hawaiian students. We have our white students where we have close to 8,000 white students. And if you put the 4,500 and the 2,300, so close to 6,000 of them are attending school 95% or higher, 2 or more races. And then we go into student programs. That would be our low socioeconomic students. So out of 8,000, we're right around 6,000 are basically at the higher level. And then English learners, you can see where they fall. And then lastly, our students with disability. So this is breaking out some of our groups, some of our foster youth. We technically have 75 foster students in the district, and you can see their attendance level there. Obviously, there's other challenges, and we try to really break down those barriers for these students and really support them in making sure that they get to school each and every day. And one of the reasons why attendance is so important is because all of our programs are designed for the students to be in the classroom each and every day. So not only when they're absent are they missing out on learning, they're missing out on socialization with their peers, and also many of our students receive nutritious meals at our schools. And it's also our goal is to prepare our students for college and career. Any career you're in, you got to show up. And so that's why these are so important. We have our hope.
Ask a question. You want me to wait?
No, you can ask. Yeah,
on foster youth, I'm assuming that's reported to the county that's receiving funding, not which is not unusual in Bay Point, a family member just taking in
Correct.
a kid and raising
Right.
them.
These
Okay,
kids in the
because I would
system.
think it'd be much
Yeah.
higher if they
Yeah.
looked at that.
These are students who are in the system. And same with our Hope. These are our homeless students, and it says we have 704 homeless students. We know from the giveaway that we did over the holidays, we had far more than this. But again, it's all about breaking down these barriers for these students and making sure that we have those caring adults on campus who are going to give these students incentive and reason to support their attending school each and every day. So if we break it down here, we have 80% of all students have a 90% or higher attendance rate. So that's very good. Here it breaks it down by demographics. So our Asian students are at the highest with 87%. Our white students are next with 86%. Two or more races, 83%. Our Latino students are at 76%. And our Black African American students, 70, Hawaiian Pacific Islander, 61, and American Indian Alaskan Native are at 56. So you can see the, you can see the work that we have there in getting all those numbers up. And then you have by programs, economically disadvantaged students, 74%, EL 73, special ed 73, foster 59, and Hope 57. So you can see the discrepancies and you can see the gaps amongst our student groups. As we break down elementary, I know this is hard to see, but I mean, let's just randomly pick a school. Let's pick Cambridge. So if you look at Cambridge, we have 60% of the students in the blue. So that's 296 students, 107 in the green. So if we're to target the red and orange, I mean, that is 48 students. So as superintendent, the expectation that I have is that out of all the adults on campus, someone is connecting with those students and recognizing when they're gone, welcoming them back when they're here. We should have relations with the families. I don't think it's totally up to the principal at that school to do all of that. It has to be a team effort. And so that's my expectation with our attendance. We do a really good job at targeting our students who are missing school. We do a great job at recognizing and celebrating those ones that come to school each and every day, but we still have to look at the barriers of what's keeping our students out of school. So I have every elementary school on here. I'm not going to go through them all. Most of these are, there are some outliers. I look at, just on this page, I look at Sequoia Elementary with 94% in the blue and green. So that is, that's excellent. Followed by Mount Diablo Elementary School, 92%. So you do see some outliers there, and I want to focus on the positive here. 91% in Walnut Acres, and yeah, those are the highest on that page. We go to middle school, it's a little bit different, but still, it's just as important for our middle schoolers to be at school each and every day. So you can look at those numbers. We can look at that 95% at Foothill, which is high up there. But then if a couple of those outliers, so if you take home and hospital, that's 36%. Obviously, there's home and hospital, so you might see an outlier like that. If you look at Glenbrook Academy, we only have 3 students in the program, right? And those 3 students have missed multiple days of school, so that's why they're completely 100% in the red. We have other schools that, as you can see, are doing well with their attendance rates. Then we go into high school. Again, the College Now program, no surprise, we got 100% there. we know those students are doing some great things, and of course we want to expand those dual enrollment opportunities to give our students with DVC being so close there. But you can see high school kind of drops off a little bit. I think the highest on this page we have 88% over at Northgate. You can see one of our lower ones, Prospects, 19%. It's also, there's a lot of independent study taking place over there as well. But more work to do in the high schools. I think it should be In high school, you have 6 teachers. So you got 6 folks to kind of look out for you, and you got guidance counselors, you got vice principals, you got, we have wellness rooms. So there needs to be more outreach, making sure that these students are getting to school each and every day. Can I have the next report? Great. So the next report, my last report here is suspensions. Wanted to talk about our suspension rates again, and I say this often. It is not that I ever have directed people not to suspend. What I direct them to is that suspension should not be a tier 1 intervention. So suspensions usually come to a last resort. There's again, you have adults on campus who are trained and who it's their job to work with kids. We ought to find other ways of supporting our young people besides suspensions. But sometimes there does need to be suspensions. I fully understand that. Again, you can see our total amount of students. You can see with our African American students, we have 934 African American students in the district. 100 of them have been suspended. You can see our American Indian and Alaskan students. You can see our Asian students. Out of 3,800 Asian students, 69 have been suspended. Out of our Latino students, out of 12,000, we have 645 that have been suspended. Out of our Native Hawaiian, 217 students in the district, and 13 have been suspended. Out of our white students, we have 7,992, 199 have been suspended. Students with 2 or more races, we have 80 suspensions there out of 2,500. And students who are from low socioeconomic backgrounds, we have 452 of those students who have been suspended. And then we have our English learners, 356 out of 6,334, and students with disability out of 3,932, 300 of them have been suspended. Foster youth, you can see our numbers there, 10%, so they're at a 10% suspension rate. You can see our homeless students, again, 10% suspension rate. This is the breakdown. District-wide, we have 4% of our students have at least 1 suspension. We have our Asian students, 2%. We have our white students at 3%, 2 or more races, 3%. American Indian, Alaskan Natives, 3%, Hispanic, 5%, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, 6%, African American at 11%. I've said before, in this meeting, in a public meeting, our African American students are disciplined differently than our other students. That's something that we continue to work on, but we still have lots of work to do in that area. And we're under state mandates and whatnot to change that. So I'm not just making that up, but I have witnessed it, I have seen it, and I've shared that with this board. It is something that we're working towards. SED students, 5%, EL, 6%, special ed, 8%, foster youth, 11%, homeless students, 11%. We're under state guidance to improve our numbers of foster youth and homeless students as well. So foster youth, homeless, African American, those are our groups that we're under state directives to improve. As we go to our elementary schools, again, we're looking at about 5 suspensions, about 1% from the majority of our elementary schools. Anywhere between 5-7 students throughout the year have been suspended. We have a couple of outliers there. We have some 10s there. But again, I'm not saying that students, shouldn't be suspended. There are reasons why they're suspended, but hopefully it's a last resort and not a first resort. As we go to middle school, there's some concerning numbers here on middle school. We have just going from the top down, what raises a tremendous concern for me. Oak Grove Middle School with 84 suspensions, so 12% of their population. Pine Hollow Middle School, we're at 17%. There's only 555 students in the school, and 97 have, close to 20% have been suspended. So I don't see Samantha back there, and I see Chris there, but there's something going on there. So that's something that, again, I want to look at and know what's going on there and why do we. Sometimes you have events where a large number of students have to get suspended for something that could happen, but I don't know, that seems a little out of. There's something going on there. So hopefully we can get to the bottom of that. Riverview Middle School, not happy with 101 students being suspended there, 14% of their population. So we got some work to do in middle school. It is a very impressionable age, but I think that's when we have to, put more effort into making sure that those students have the skill sets to be able to problem solve, be able to do what it is that they're doing. But again, we the adults are doing something wrong if this is our numbers there. So hopefully that's something that we can put some effort into. High school, the high schools are one thing. I mean, if you look at one big standout, you have Glenbrook, again, 41%. Well, there's only 17 students in the school, and so 7 of them have been suspended. It's a school that targeted students with with unique needs, and so there's some things going on there. But if you look at some of our other high schools, College Park, 119 suspensions. Mount Diablo High is probably our outlier in terms of high numbers, 211 suspensions. We got to do something there. And Ignacio Valley, I will give Ignacio Valley their kudos, bringing that number down to 7% from where it had been in previously. Want to recognize Northgate for being at 4%, 54 suspensions. So anyway, these, this data, you can use it in many different ways. I look at it as ways of, okay, how can we provide additional supports to students, and how can we make our schools more engaging, or what are we missing there? Not I don't agree with suspensions and no one ought to be suspended and we got kids who are fighting and then there's no consequences and stuff like that. That is not what I want. But we employ over 3,000 adults, and we have 30,000 kids roughly. So do the math. We all need to connect with kids a little more and make sure that we're helping them work through these difficult times. So with that, that's my data share. I do just want to touch on a couple of events. The celebration of success. You're absolutely 1,000% right. That is my most favorite event to attend all year, because those are kids who they have every right to be in this district, and they have every right for an education. And oftentimes they're labeled and they're looked at with a deficit lens. And at this night, there's no deficit lens. It's only a growth mindset lens that they have to engage with on that evening. And their parents are thrilled because they're getting positive feedback on their kids. And most importantly, the kids are generally excited. So I would just hope that, why do we have to do a special night for our special education students to be recognized? Why couldn't that just be part of what we do in school? But when we have students who don't receive the resources, that's what equity is about, is bringing everyone up. So that was a great night. DLAC was good. I really enjoyed all year working with the PAC and Jen Sachs, who we've talked about, does a great job with that group of really getting that parent input. We're doing some great things with gardens in our districts. We're doing great things in our classrooms. I just can't believe all of the things that I read about every week in the Friday letter, about just the amazing things that our teachers are doing, that staff are doing, the amazing programs that we have. I tell this board all the time, we offer too much in this district. You guys, like there's so many options for everyone. And I know that that's hard. We really try to meet the needs of everyone, but that really does come at a cost. We have a lot of programs that are people dependent, And so when we have a lot of turnover and we lose people, then sometimes those programs go away. We have other programs that are just flourishing. So just again, kudos to this board for your leadership and direction. And I'll just close by saying, we are all gonna miss Jen Sachs terribly, but it's a great opportunity, and she's gonna take all of the skills that she's learned here in the Mount Diablo district and all of our wonderful ideas and programs, and she's going to duplicate those in other spaces. But the important thing is that young people will benefit, and that's all that matters. So anyway, thank you to this board. Thank you to all the work. I want to thank Jen Sachs and her team, and that concludes my report. Unless there's any questions.
I don't have a question, but I will comment on the photograph I was anticipating. There was a young man who was introduced to receive an award, and two adult males who are obviously family members or close friends jumped up on the stage to be in the picture with Dr. Clark and Trustee McFerrin. And that family was so proud and cheering in the audience. And everybody in the entire room broke out in a smile because of that enthusiasm and that joy and that support for that particular student.
That's right.
The room is always packed for the celebration of success. So if you ever have an opportunity to attend this event, please do next year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're ready to move on to the consent agenda. I know there are people that are anxious for us to be moving along on the agenda. The items listed under consent agenda are considered routine and will be approved by or adopted by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. However, any item may be removed from the consent agenda upon the request of any member of the board and acted upon separately. At the beginning of the meeting, Dr. Clark pulled item 14.20, so that will not be considered under the consent agenda. Are there any items that you would like to have pulled as trustees?
I move that we approve the items listed under the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Trustee Nzewi with a second by Trustee Mason to approve the items presented on the consent agenda. Is there further discussion? No discussion allowed. Trustee Barros, how do you vote?
Yes.
Right. The motion is adopted 4-0-0 with Trustee McFerrin being reported as absent and concurrence by Trustee Barrios. Now we'll move on to 17.1.
Great. Our next item, this is the potential approval and revisions of the high school ethnic studies course of study. And we have Susan Hartwig, who's going to be presenting this item.
Good evening, Dr. Clark and board trustees. It's nice to see you. I've also brought with me Meg Honey, who is a practitioner of ethnic studies. So we are looking forward to speaking to you on this topic. Meg is currently teaching two sections of ethnic studies at Northgate High School right now. So what we wanted to do is make sure that you understood the rationale of the work that we've been doing to move ethnic studies towards AB 101, which is Assembly Bill 101, and it's the ethnic studies requirement that for all of us is coming soon. And by the time our freshmen come in 25-26, they will be leaving, having all taken and passed the ethnic studies course. And to that end, we need an awesome course of study. So that is what we've been spending time doing to align the course of study with the Department of Education's model curriculum for ethnic studies, and also meet the needs of our MWSD community as well. We also look to sharpen the lens on all of our courses of study. So that's review, because you've seen some of our other courses of study. And that is always something that we apply to all of our course of study revisions. So we also wish to align with the UCAG portal as well. And then what's really important, and I wanted to mention, is that this course of study is going to be on a continuous cycle of improvement and revision. The nature of current events, the nature of things that are happening in the world, and the nature of a changing community requires us to really stay on a cycle of improvement. So our process is, again, review, if you look at the first 3 bullet points, but wanted to mention that something that's a little bit different with ethnic studies is the need for ongoing professional development for our teachers and practitioners around this course. So we've had regular cohort meetings starting last May. Meg was there with us, and several other people, which I will list. Also, our ethnic studies teachers, current and future, continue to collaborate with staff developers from the UC Berkeley History Social Science Project. And we have this, we had our cohort work very hard over the course of our cohort meetings to work on the course of study revisions. And what's cool about that also is because we have ongoing practitioners that are currently teaching the course, and also people that will be coming on board to teach in the years to come. And here we are with the Board of Education review with you. Here's an overview of how it's looked over the course, and this is actually in partnership with the County Office of Education. We've been working closely with them as well. Phase 1 has always been the introduction and really in setting the intention for ethnic studies. And then phase 2 and 3 has been really about starting that development. And the work we've been doing with the cohort and with the UC Berkeley History Social Studies project has been really instrumental. Phase 4 will be the implementation of the requirement. And prior to that, we'll have time to do some summer training as well for any new teachers coming on board with the cohort. And then just to mention too, I have renewed the contract with our UC Berkeley History Social Studies project staff developers, so we will continue to get that support. So this is just a basic overview of the program and just kind of the course of events as we've been working through the year. And community input, as we start to move into next year, we're going to be bringing in community input, and we're also going to be having parent meetings and things of that nature. And in addition, tightening up what we think is going to be our best options for curriculum. What I wanted to also mention is that when you look at the circle, you see the 4 subgroups. That is the typical areas of study and the subgroups that we study, but we never want to forget that there's a section in the middle. It's called intersectionality. That's a really important space where there's a lot of different types of study going on within the course. So I'm actually going to, I want to kind of clear the space so you can ask as many questions as you need, but wanted to definitely give you some time and also to look at the people that have been instrumental in making this happen and have been really taking the time to learn more and to build, to kind of fill their own knowledge and build their own tool belt so that when they go to teach that they are ready. These meetings have been taking place over the course of the year during the day and with a sub-release. So I wanted to get to the most important part, which is questions. So please do feel free to ask any questions. And Meg is just a wonderful resource and a wonderful practitioner of ethnic studies, not just in our district, but also in her other professional life outside of the work she does at Northgate. So are there any questions from the board? Ms. Cam? No questions. Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Barrios.
Can you give us like an example of what you would teach in the intersectionality?
Thank you. Great question. Intersectionality and an emphasis on intersectionality is the ethos of ethnic studies, and it grounds everything that we do. So although the discipline was very intentionally constructed to center Indigenous Americans, African Americans, Latinx Americans, and the Asian American Pacific Islander community, we acknowledge and uplift the many different parts of our identities. So when we're talking about intersectionality, as it relates to the 4 core groups, we are also putting focus on gender expression and ability and socioeconomic status and access to education, because we know that not one of these groups is monolithic. We are not monoliths, and so we really are intentional about ensuring that our study of the 4 core groups and our own identities very much rests on the knowledge that intersectionality is an important lens to look at both oppression and marginalization, but also to look at resilience and joy and creativity and innovation.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Will I bring her? She knows. Other questions?
So I want to compliment you on the large number of staff members who have participated in this work. That's so critical, and it's noteworthy that so many people were involved in it. That shows the commitment of individuals at our high schools, and I hope that our community recognizes that commitment. They may not necessarily know about it, but if they ever look at this PowerPoint, they will see the names and can take some joy in understanding that people were involved from their particular school who understand the students and the diversity happening at that particular school. And I want to acknowledge that we have received board comments from various members of the community. And I know that you have received those as well. And as educators, you will be looking at them as you're developing the continuous cycle in this great curriculum. So thank you.
I kind of respond to that too. I mean, ethnic studies is nothing but responsive. We are responsive to the needs of our community, our populations, the unique dynamics that are unfolding on our campuses and in our community. And so absolutely, we are very much taking feedback and reading and considering and talking. I also would be very remiss if I did not say that as a teacher, the professional learning community has been the most meaningful work that I've ever been part of. And I really want to thank Susan and Nicole Kipnis for their organization and vision, the way that they have engaged groups like the UC Berkeley History Social Science Project, experts in this work, and really building that bridge between the academy and the K-12 space. And we are all better for it. So thank you, Susan and Nicole, so very much.
Good. And Jennifer Sachs as well.
Yes.
Yes.
The whole group back here, the whole group, everybody.
Always empowering us.
Yes.
Yes.
Just thought of a question, if that's okay. Just as you've been, teaching this class this year, what is one or two of your favorite experiences that you've had with these students?
I'll need about 3 or 4 hours.
Okay, sure.
It's been an amazing year. I am continually inspired and dazzled and galvanized by our students' energy and their agency, their knowledge, their enthusiasm and commitment to really lean in and learn material that maybe they had never encountered, or to really engage with narratives and perspectives and experiences of people who have been completely absent from the historical record. So that work and watching them and being with them in that work has been wonderful. I will say that at Northgate, we're piloting. And so my 2 sections have 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders all in one room. And it's been a beautiful moment of watching our upper class people support younger class people, and then younger class people provide models of leadership that maybe they didn't even know that they were capable of. So I've loved that. And then I just really enjoyed being in the learning process with students. We are very much on a journey together. So it's been great. And I can't wait for next year already.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for the presentation. Ready for a motion?
I move to approve revisions to high school ethnic studies courses of study.
Second.
So we have a motion made by trustee Nzewi with a second by trustee Count on the potential approval of the high school ethnic studies course of study. I don't see any further comments. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
So the motion is adopted 4001. Congratulations to all of us on this success.
Thank you.
We're ready for item 17.2.
Just
Mrs. Hart,
hang out here.
you're going to present the supplemental reading materials list.
That is right.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just keep it rolling. So again, good evening all. And I wanted to now tell you I'm partnering here with Nicole Kipnis, our secondary literacy. Actually, you wear all the hats in terms of K through 12, but primarily secondary literacy TOSA. So she's done a tremendous amount of work with our teacher librarian team. And while some of this will be review, the part that will not be review is the part where we have layered in titles from the 3rd grade through the 5th grade. So this is super exciting for us. And this is all for the supplemental materials that teachers may use in their classrooms. So this may be familiar to you. You've seen it before. So we'll kind of push forward so we can make sure we can answer any questions and also get you some ideas around what's happening with the 3 through 5 titles. There has not been any change to the category language. So that has remained the same over the course of the year. Much like the ethnic studies course of study, our aim is to continually keep this list on a continuous cycle of improvement. And just to give you an idea, as you look at the list and you've been reviewing the list, the newly added titles will be in red and in italics. And so that's the same. So that's why you'll notice that the 3 through 5 titles are all in red. So I wanted to just mention the secondary list. Again, this is a review process. Here we are again after the process at the Board of Education review. And then I want to go ahead and hand this over because Nicole, over the past year or so, has been doing a tremendous amount of work with our teacher librarian team, and I wanted to give her an opportunity to talk a bit about that, give a quick summary of the process and any differences that might have occurred.
Okay, sure. Hello. So with the 3 through 5 process, it started last March. So that professional development day last March, before that, actually, we surveyed all the grades 3 through 5 teachers and asked them what titles are they already teaching in their classroom. So we had that list. And then we audited that list and we looked for the cultural experience composition and anything that was missing from that list in terms of cultural diversity or any experiences that were missing. We made note of that. And then our fabulous teacher librarian team came into play that professional development day last March. And the last 4 professional development days, so the March one and then, the fall one and all the ones since, we have met and have just been revising the list. And so they have looked at any experiences missing and added a lot of titles to the list, just titles they recommended that filled in any of those voids. And now we have a very robust list. And when we did the last audit with the current list, it really hits pretty much every cultural experience and every category that we can think of. And they just spent a lot of time really trying to make sure that everyone is represented. And then we pulled back in the 3 through 5 teachers who wanted to be part of the committee, and we met with the committee as a whole 3 or 4 times, and here we are. And so when we met with the committee, they were able to make revisions too, make comments, decide on grade level discrepancies. And so it's been over a year process, as Susan said, but here we are, and we have a pretty great, robust, complete list for grades 3 through 5.
There's our amazing teacher librarian team
Yes.
that you led.
Yeah.
So we were excited to have them to join in on this work. They were very willing and very enthusiastic partners in this work. So this has been a really exciting addition to the list. And I will also mention that we have this wonderful resource. So if you ever have, an opportunity, we have a thing called Teaching Books, and you can run our list through there and it will audit for cultural experiences. So that's been kind of like basically our go-to and our best resource. As I said, the category language has not changed. It continues on and is aging quite well. So we are excited about that. And then I always add my FAQ, but if you have more questions, we are here to answer them.
Members of the board?
I had one comment. I told Dr. Clark, I don't know how some of the books, I thought everything I read was bad.
Oh, when you
some
were
of
in
them
school?
survived.
I know.
I'm telling
We
my
have
kids,
not
I don't know how
read-
you
we haven't
survived me
read it.
because I think I did everything wrong. But no, I was surprised. Some of my favorites are still on the list, and I was also pleased with some of the additions. So looks like you did a very thorough job.
It's always, like I say, it was a labor of love. Books are awesome, so.
And through this process, probably more, a greater variety of books will be used in the classroom. That's the exciting piece for me, is because people have suddenly go, oh, I remember this book. I want to teach it. I want to try it this year.
Yes.
Exactly. That's what I was so excited about. There's so many titles on here that are like favorites. And it's such a wide representation, like you said, from different cultures, different experiences, and you've got that breadth that our teachers can draw from. It's just really, really exciting. So with that, I would love to make the motion
Go ahead.
to approve supplemental reading materials list grades 3 through 12.
I'll second it, but I have one more question that you may not have an answer to. Because last year I asked, like, how are we supporting teachers in teaching new to them texts?
Yes.
And so I'm curious if anything's happened in the last year,
Yeah.
because my daughter is still reading the standard.
Okay. So good news. One of Jen Sachs's best sayings is good news is the new curriculum actually has curricular support for several of the titles that are on our list. So that's a really great addition with the curriculum that's coming in new for the secondary. But Teaching Books also has a lot of support for curricular and instructional pieces. So that's really great. And that's actually something that teachers have access to right in their class link. They go straight there, they put in the book. Up comes 28 resources, including authors, reading of the book, or an author's, rendition, and then videos and graphic organizers. So there is a plethora if you use it. So we'll be supporting teachers with that.
And encouraging.
Absolutely.
Is there a second? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. You threw a question in there. Okay, we have a motion by trustee Count with a second by trustee Nzewi. We've had quite a bit of discussion. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. And this is adopted 4-0-0 with trustee McFerrin absent and concurrence of trustee Barrios. Thank you very much for your excellent work.
Thank you.
We're ready for,
Yep. So item 17.3, there's just, if you have any questions, we have Dr. Gilly here to answer questions, but there's not a presentation with this, but we're seeking approval.
I lost it, sorry.
I did have a question. Just, I think, for the general public to have an understanding of what it means when you have an alternative diploma instead of the regular high school diploma. Like, does that change your career possibilities, beyond? What does that mean?
It's a great question, and this is actually the first part of a two-part process. This is the approval of courses that we put forth last year, pilot, in response to the state change in education code 51225.31, in which students who formerly would have earned their certificate of completion are now able to earn a diploma through alternative means by meeting the state minimum required standards. So previously, prior to ESSA, under No Child Left Behind, those children would have received a certificate of completion, and they would have counted towards the district's graduation rate. Once ESSA came into play, then we went ahead and those children were no longer included in the graduation rate, affecting states' graduation rates as well as districts. But in addition, the actual grown-ups right by now, for the rest of their life, were unable to answer that question. Do you have a high school diploma? This actually affords them to say, yes, I have a high school diploma. There's been a lot of political spirited debate about this, as you can imagine. But the truth of the matter is the individuals who do end up with the alternate diploma certainly have to pass any other requirements for any job that they might be applying for. It does not make them eligible to go straight to UC. It does, however, make them available financial aid, FAFSA. So there's a lot of positives for the students, and again, opening doors for employment and also furthering their education in whichever way is appropriate. We do plan on bringing other courses at the next board meeting, which will include a financial literacy course. And then we also are going to be bringing the curriculum that goes along with it.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Well, I would make a motion to approve the recommendation by staff.
Second.
So we have a motion by trustee Mason and a second by trustee Nzewe on the potential approval of the courses of study for dynamic courses. Is there further discussion? Trustee Barros, how do you vote?
Yes.
That passes 4-0-0 with trustee McPherron absent and concurrence from trustee Barrios. Thank you very much.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Gilly. We're moving on to 17.4, review of the 23-24 school site comprehensive school safety plans. Dr. Clark.
Again, same as the previous item. We're looking for approval, but if you have any questions, we have staff here to respond to those questions.
Are there any questions?
I move that we approve the 23-24 school site comprehensive school safety plans.
I'll second, and also just a comment that I really appreciate all the work that's been done on these plans to really make them more easy for people to digest and read and follow, especially with all the different possible emergency scenarios that we can have happen. So I'm impressed, and thank you for everyone who worked on these.
Thank you. They appreciate that.
So we have a motion by trustee Nzewe with a second by trustee Count. I believe we've indicated there's no further discussion. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
And this motion is adopted 4-0-0 with McPherron absent and trustee Barros concurrence. We're ready to move on to 17.5, which is potential approval of school plans for student achievement for Meadow Homes and Mountain View Elementary Schools. Is there any discussion?
Yeah,
Presentation?
and again, we presented our plans earlier. These two needed a little bit more work, so we're bringing them back. So if you have any questions, we're seeking approval.
Okay. Any questions? If not, we're ready for a motion.
I would move that we approve the 2023-24 school plans for student achievement for Meadow Homes Elementary School and Mountain View Elementary School.
Second.
So we have a motion by trustee Mason with the second by trustee Nzewe on the student achievement plans for two of our schools. This is item 17.5. Is there further discussion? Seeing none. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes. Oh, yes.
She'd surprise us if she said no, wouldn't she? Okay, this motion is adopted 4001 with trustee McFerrin absent and concurrence from trustee Barrios. Let's move on to 17.6, which
Yes.
is.
Yep, and I just want to thank our principals for hanging in there with us.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. So. Yeah, so next item 17.6, we're excited to present this tentative agreement. We have Dr. Rubio here who will present 17.6.
Thank you. Board of Trustees, good evening. I have before you for your review potential approval, tentative agreement between the district and the Clerical Secretarial Technical Unit Local 1, CST. We're very happy to be here with them in terms of where we're at. We're very pleased with our relationship, and we're particularly pleased. And I want to just make a note, if I may, for a moment, the outgoing president, Carmen Toronas Torres, I've had the pleasure of working with for the last almost 4 years now, who's retiring, and I appreciate her steadfast leadership and collaboration with us. And their new president will be Jane France, who delivered a 7-pound baby girl this morning, I believe. So I thought I would just mention those few things, but happy to have this before you for your approval and review.
Any questions? If not, we're ready for a motion.
Madam President, I move to approve the tentative agreement between Clerical Secretarial Technical, CST Local 1, and Mount Diablo Unified School District for the 2024-2027 collective bargaining agreement.
Second.
So we have a motion made by trustee Count with a second by trustee Nzewi on the agreement with Clerical Secretarial Technical Local 1 and Mount Diablo School District for the 2024 through 2027 calendar years. That's amazing that we have such a long agreement. And I also want to compliment you for attaching the 1200 form from the County Office of Education so that our public can see that it's been reviewed by the Contra Costa County Office of Education.
Absolutely, and I failed to mention that they did concur with our assessment and review also.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
And congratulations to everyone.
Thank you.
4001 with Aaron McFerrin absent and the concurrence from trustee Barrios. 17.7 is the approval of changes to board policy and administration regulations according to CSBA recommendations. And we are looking at the board policy and AR 3400 management districts assets accounts. Dr. Clark.
I believe these were presented to you all earlier, so tonight we're just looking for approval, potential approval.
I move to approve the BP and AR 3400 management of district assets accounts as presented.
Second.
So we have a motion by trustee Mason and a second by trustee Nzewi on item 17.7. It was presented previously. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
We'd welcome her opinion, wouldn't we? The motion is adopted 4001 with Aaron McFerrin being absent and concurrence from our trustee Barrios. I don't think we're going to need a meeting extension. We do have some documents to sign tonight, and I want to thank everyone for your patience during tonight's meeting. And it was a great presentation tonight. I guess I better wrap the gavel. Do you want to wrap it again? Meeting adjourned at 8:11 p.m.
Thank you, Vice President Mayo.